is Isabel. I wanted to make a quick video after reading an article and share this with you. So this is a quick audio. I read an article on the local. It was an Indian student who came to study in Switzerland, and he explains basically what he's gone through, and basically the fact he had to leave. So I wanted to give you my feedback to go a little bit further than what he's giving, which I think is very interesting feedback for non-EU expats. So I'll post the link below if you want to read his article. But basically, he was a student in pharma, in research, and after trying really hard to find a job in Switzerland, he was not able to secure one and had to go back to India and then ended up working somewhere else. But basically, I think what's interesting for me to share with you is to give you my 3 tips to help you a little bit maybe secure this job if you were to come to Switzerland. I think also the student probably didn't have all the necessary strategy and resources to secure the job. So the first thing I wanted to give you as an advice, which is going a little bit beyond what he's saying about networking, is that my feel when I was reading his article, being a student, also being more of a researcher and probably a little bit more shy, I think it was probably limited in terms of networking. So it was probably just the people he knew and maybe extended to friends, family, and teachers and people maybe with the unemployment office, but that's not enough. And what I keep saying in networking is that you have to go into the scary part where you have to introduce yourself to people you don't know yet. If you want to really get in there, it's going to take more than just going to an event once in a blue moon and sharing cards. It's going to take really regular, daily almost activities to get you there. So I talk about this in my online training program, which is coming up very soon. So if you want to be made aware, feel free to add your email to my list. It's going live really now. It's a question of days. So I have a whole part where I talk about networking and the hidden market. I mean, this is going to be the solution for expats to get a job, because he's definitely identified the solution, which is networking, but he probably didn't have all the necessary activities, in-depth activities, and going into this network that he doesn't know yet, and going to events really massively to really secure a job. So that's my first feedback, is how in-depth you're going into the networking part. Number 2 is really the status on the permit. He's explaining that the L permit is not a very recognized type of permit in Switzerland, which could be true. I mean, there's a lot of recruiters that are new to recruiting, probably even foreigners that are recruiters, believe it or not. So it's true that to some extent recruiters may not know, and this is where you can educate them, and it's your role to educate on your status. So when you are applying for a job, you should be very clear on the type of permit that you hold, what you can do with it, and also you should actually tell the recruiter how your permit can transition into another type of permit. So you could do this research on your own by connecting with the agency that provided the permit and really make it clear how the L permit is going to be potentially transitioned into a B permit. So when you're applying, it's just a question of saying L permit, valid for employment, can be transitioned into a B permit as soon as I get a job. So recruiters may not know this again, but it's your role to educate them. I know as an ex-recruiter, I was hiring people with L permit, and I was able to get them a B permit quite soon. As soon as they expire their L permit, you can easily then transition that into a B permit, especially if they hold a permanent contract. So really the L permit is also what the Swiss give to expats at the beginning or where they run out of B permit. So it's really a technicality in my view. I mean, you can work with an L permit, so you just have to make that clear again to the recruiter, so that you don't have this. It would be a bit of a pity to have this as a block to getting hired. So that's number 2. And number 3 is definitely what I get as an insight in this article, is the fact that going to a Swiss school is definitely also a solution to broaden your perspectives and get a job, because the Swiss school has a good reputation. So in the end, he ended up working maybe in a field he wasn't expected to work in, but it still opened the door for him. And I think that's also the how you have to look at it. Sometimes things don't work out exactly as we wanted to. So maybe the plan of working in Switzerland in a job of our dreams within 2 months didn't work. But in the end, maybe it's a different route. Maybe you end up working in a different country and getting different experience, but in the end, it will lead you back to Switzerland at another point. And I do say this to my clients. I say, look, maybe it's not going to be in the next couple of months, because it takes time and you have to get your name out there, you have to build up your profile. But after a while, maybe you end up getting that job that you wanted in Switzerland. So it's not to look at it on a black and white type of thing. I mean, the environment changes. Of course, with work permits, there's always new things coming up. So things do change. It's not stale. So you may not get what you want immediately, but just know that you have a long term objective, which could be I want to work in Switzerland. And just be a bit flexible in how that's going to pan out. Maybe it's going to be in a few months, maybe it's going to be in a few years, but just stay open to the idea and keep working at it. And I think that's, again, my last message in this video is that this is where probably this gentleman fell short, in my view, was the networking strategy was a little bit too weak. Probably if I was to talk to him, probably not doing enough of it and not centered in the right areas. So this is something that I can definitely help with. Feel free to comment below and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.